All right, everyone, welcome back to Smash Course. This is now our 13th episode. We've been off the map for a while, but we're all back, and we've got a guest with us once again this time. So my name is Max, got HungryBox, Toronto Joe, and our guest, Zeke. How's it going, everybody?
Yo.
Doing well.
All right, so this week we have a lot to talk about. It's coming off a pretty quiet season for Smash, but the news in the past 2 weeks has been flowing in pretty nicely. Let's talk about first, and most importantly, that would be the announcement of Smash 5, and not just the game, but also an invitational tournament at E3, very reminiscent of the E3 from 4 years ago. HBox, I know you have a lot of inside perspective on how that went, being that you're one of the invitees and finalists. But to kick it off, I mean, guys, Smash 5 or like Smash, who knows, Smash on the Switch got announced March 8th. That was now almost 3 weeks ago. And I think the big question that's lingering in everyone's mind is this a port or is it a new game? So let's tackle that first. What do you guys think?
New game. 100,000% new game. It's not a port. There's no reason to shadow out Mario and Link's face in a game that already exists. There's no reason to have a different logo on a game that already exists. And there's no reason to make a port of a game aptly named Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. It's 100,000% a new game, and I'm willing to put down like 10 grand on it.
Hashtag not a port, dude. Hashtag not a port.
Not a port.
Been saying that from day one, dude. I don't think Sakurai would put out something that was just, additional DLC and, maybe some new stages. I feel like if they're putting out a new Smash, like they would take it extremely seriously and put a lot of development power behind it. So yeah, I'm saying hashtag not a port, dude. Hashtag not a port.
Yeah, there's no way.
What about you, Zeke? What do you think?
Yeah, so the big reason why I believe it's not a port is Sakurai already confirmed in an interview that he's been working on a project for like 4 or 5 years now in little wherever they hide him. And if Sakurai's making the game, there's no way it's a port because he is so like nitpicky about like doing something new, adding variety, like not just rehashing things. He's been pretty good about doing that, and he's adamantly spoken about wanting to always do more than what's just there, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no way that he would be like, oh yeah, I'll spend 5 years making a port. There's no way.
Yeah, I am also firmly in agreement with you guys. Also, the invitational tournament, there's no reason to go above and beyond for something that we've already seen and that we already know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to agree with you guys. Hashtag not a port. No way. I would bet money on it too. But yeah, it's good to know that you guys all feel the same way. So, I mean, there are some huge implications for the Smash scene based on this, and not just the modern Smash scene, the community that came from Brawl into Smash 4 and will presumably transition into Smash 5, but also the Melee community. So this is another huge surge into the game. It's another reason for people to get their eyes on the series. And even if people who have always been Melee players or are new recruits and end up preferring the Melee style of games, are seeing this new game, they're going to want to come back to Melee as well. So what do you guys think going forward this means for the Smash community? Is this a sign of Nintendo getting maybe further involved? Or even if they don't, what's going to happen to the grassroots community, etc.?
I think that depending on how similar the game is to Melee or not, might have an impact on the Melee community. But I think the more obvious or more likely scenario is that they follow a similar pattern to Brawl and Smash 4, which is a playstyle or engine that appeals to the more casual audience. And because of that, Melee will still maintain its niche or niche. To this day, I don't know what that word is. And I say that word, audience, and it's going to still have that cult following. What's going to happen, I'm almost certain, is that Smash 4 will be dead within a year. Unfortunately, I know it's a hard, sad truth because whatever you'll say about Bayo or whatever you'll say about the patches and how the game goes, I thought it was an excellent fighting game compared to Brawl. I thought it was an excellent addition to the series. It was something that I think everyone could watch and enjoy at some level, and it's we could have had it for easily another 3 to 4 years as a good game with or without Zero. So it's a little bit of a shock to me to say go that early, but I will say we at least have a console, being the Switch, that just desperately need Smash the title, and it's going to completely revolutionize the amount of people who play in the scene. So I sense something but good things. I sense every single Smash 4 player transitioning over very easily, and I see a lot of new players and even Melee players giving it a shot because everyone just wants a new slate, I think, after what they've seen.
Joe and Zeke, you guys got any thoughts on what this means going forward?
I really hope that Smash 4 is able to continue on if it is a different game. With that said, for me, from a TO perspective, I'm just wondering how is Smash 5 going to work with switches? I feel like, you know, already like people try and swipe things at events. Like we see people try and take first-party GameCube adapters on some Wii U setups. I'm just wondering how for the Switch that'll come into play. So I think that's something that's really interesting. But overall, yeah, no, I'm fired up for Smash 5. I was actually driving, doing errands for EGLX when the news broke, and you called me, and like you were just yelling on the phone like erratically, and I'm like, "Yo, what?" He's like,
yeah,
"How did
you
you
had no
not
idea,
know?"
dude.
Like Smash 5, and I'm like, "Damn!" Like, yeah, no, I think it's gonna be amazing for the scene, and if it's any indication of like when a new Smash game comes out, the scene grows tenfold. Like there's so many new players that come out to the events that start following the community. So I'm expecting a huge surge in growth as well once Smash 5 drops.
Yeah, I think the fact that the Switch is just a great accessible console that so many people are now, it's like another like household console that anyone can have. It's easily accessible. It is going to really increase just the numbers of everything, and it's going to bring up the hype. But my favorite thing that like the announcement really did for the community is a lot of people were getting to that, you know, that conversation of the week was, our game's dying, like blah 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 blah, and like the negative mindset of that, and like everyone becoming more pessimistic about what's going to happen. Are we ever going to get anything from this game again? Blah 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 blah. And the minute that announcement hit, I have not seen that conversation again. I've seen much more positivity, excitement, and just people focusing on like the great possibilities that can come from this game. And that's such an important thing, especially in such a community-oriented thing that we have in Smash, because once there's a little bit of that like negativity, it spreads like a wildfire really fast. Because if one person that has a big voice starts talking about it, it goes out of control. And it's just great to see that we've kind of moved past that already. Everyone's a lot more positive, a lot happier. Even just in the game, people are having more fun knowing that they're working towards getting to play on the Smash Switch. And that's really the most important thing to me, honestly.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Smash Twitter was in a dark place for sure. A lot of people were, you know, watching successes of the Overwatch League and other things happening in esports, whereas Smash has been kind of left in the dark for a while. So it was really comforting to see some big news, especially because, you know, even tournaments were quiet. Like even in the world of grassroots, we didn't have a lot going on between Genesis and now. So yeah, it really sparked some new life into everything. And I have to say that that's huge in itself. But the most important thing to me about Smash Switch is that it's on a console that people own, whereas the Wii U, not a lot of people owned it. You know, I think Nintendo might have maybe even pushed Sakurai to put the new game out a little bit sooner. You know, this is the shortest gap between Smash games we've seen since 64 to Melee. But otherwise, it was 6+ years between Melee and Brawl, and then Brawl to Smash 4. So perhaps, you know, the Wii U's commercial struggles are what pushed Nintendo in the direction of like, all right, we got to get a new Smash game out here, not only to move more Switches, but to get more people playing Smash on a system that, you know, is readily available or at least commonplace. So yeah, huge, good stuff all around. I don't see there's any other way to take it, right? It's just real positivity. So I mean, let's talk about the Invitational, man. Like, what do you guys think is going to happen? You know, do you think they're going to go for the same deal where it's like 16 players and then the commentators, like almost, you know, an X copy of the 2014 Invitational? Do you think they're going to try something new? Just based on Nintendo's history, who do you think is going to make it there? Like, what are you guys looking to see? And I mean, further past that, what would you guys like to see in the new game itself?
Well, it's always privy for Smash to have a new mechanic in there, so I'm sure we'll see some kind of thing added or changed with a ledge. I'm sure we'll see something added or changed when it comes to knockback, combos off grabs, things like that. Like, Brawl had tripping, Smash 4 had ledge sharing and strange knockback. 64 had crazy stun on combos. They all have a very unique twist to them. So I'm expecting one big twist and then a bunch of minor things. But nothing too bad that it changes. Character-wise, I think we'll get most of the classic roster from, Melee, most of the main staples. They're going to take out some of the more obscure Smash 4 characters. Like, I think they're going to take out some of the anime characters. Maybe, like, they're going to Robin. Maybe they're going to take out Duck Hunt. Maybe they're going to take out some of the other characters that can replace that. Like, Duck Hunt replaced with the same moveset, but put Banjo-Kazooie instead would be so fucking sick, and I think it would be so simple to do.
That would be fire.
That would be cool. More heavies, King K. Rool, maybe Ridley for the pure just meme potential. Like, can you imagine they keep it all secret? They even announced Goku before it, and then the day before it releases, the Shadow of Ridley releasing tomorrow. It's over. It's over.
That would be so godlike, especially with DBFZ popping off so hard. It would be the perfect time to put Goku in Smash.
I'm actually realistically thinking Goku will be in it.
Same.
So yeah, basically all bets are off. Nintendo holds all the cards right now, and if they really plan this out and really make it good, this could be the biggest game launch in the history of the world. So I'm gonna stay up that night and just lose my shit pretty much. It's gonna be great.
Oh.
Got a little desync from Joe. Or Joe, are you muted?
I
believe Joe is muted. Zeke, do you want to tell us what you expect from the thing while Joe fixes mic?
So, I think with the Invitational, it's going to be pretty similar, but the only thing that's going to make it a little bit harder, or we'll have to see how much Nintendo's really putting towards it, is they're also doing the Splatoon and ARMS stuff for that same weekend.
Right.
So, we don't know how much attention each thing is going to be given. Not to sound like pessimistic about it at all, Smash has always been a little bad about getting the short end of the stick, but them changing Nintendo Versus to being like fully branded for Smash makes me really hopeful for the fact that we're going to get a good day.
Big deal.
Yeah. That they care. They really do care, and they want us to know that like they're hyped for this too, and that's really awesome. So I think we're going to get a really good day. I don't really know how many people. It might be smaller, I think. I think it's going to definitely be smaller. Because of the fact that they have the 3 different events and they're each one day, I believe. So that would be really hard if they have a lot of people to kind of stuff that all in for like one whole day. Unless they're trying to ride that, then Godspeed to them. But I think that'll be really good. Then I definitely agree with Hungry Box. We're gonna get one new mechanic in some way. Like the inclusion of Rage because of Bandai Namco playing a part in the game, ledge trumping, all that stuff. It could be simple as like the way air dodges work in like a functionality, or like being able to like, it could even be something as crazy as like in like a burst from an anime fighter where you can like break a combo once every so often. Like it could be something like that. Who knows? But we'll have to see how that works out. And then for like characters, I really just want reworks of characters. Like I want Kirby, I want Link, I want Mario to get new movesets because we have these new games and these new brands. Breath of the Wild Link we saw, Odyssey Mario, Kirby in his new game is sick. And then the only character that like I genuinely want is Bandana D. He's like one of my favorite characters. I don't know if you saw my thread about it, but
I did not.
He even has a moveset like in these games, and he's like one of the strongest characters. Like it would just be so cool to get more characters. I agree with the heavies, like really branching out in their major lines of like Nintendo games will help them more and more. And then getting just a couple newcomers each time of like third party will always be great. Like if you guys saw, Funimation made a tweet like the day after the Smash thing was like, hey, like you should put Goku in the game, like new challenger, and it's a Goku silhouette. And for all we know, like that could be a real thing that they're like teasing us, or it can just be Twitter bait. Like who knows? Because anything is literally possible in these games always. So I'm excited to see what happens.
What I don't, since you were mentioning the whole thing with ARMS and Splatoon, what I don't get is that I get the selling 3 games is better than selling 1 game, but like just from the sheer, like in that direct, they announced ARMS and Twitter went like this. They announced Splatoon 2 DLC and Twitter went like this, a little higher. They announced Smash. It literally broke Twitter. It trended everywhere. Like it wasn't just like twice as good or 10 times. It was like 3 times of orders of magnitude more hype than the other 2 announcements. That's how big of a deal it was. Nintendo doesn't have to put this ARMS or Splatoon incorporation into this E3. People will still buy it. People still love those games. ARMS personally isn't one for me. Splatoon is all right, but they could just do the same formula as last year and just milk every last drop out of Smash and just make it the best-selling game of all time. Like they could easily do it. And the Switch has already outsold the Wii U, so they already. And you can't name one person who has a Switch who wasn't going to buy it. I can't name a single one. Yeah.
Yep.
What I was saying is what really put into perspective for me, like we all know that Smash is a global game, but just how big it was is when I was watching reactions from literally like across the world, like people from Mexico hearing the announcement of Smash 5, like literally in tears, like crowds of people just like rejoicing, like hugging, like going ape over this game. I was like, man, like this is going to be insane. Smash 5 is going to change the game for sure. I don't know what they're going to introduce. Maybe they might change the air dodge. That was something that we were talking about, me, Max, and Juan earlier. But yeah, no, I think this is going to be honestly massive for the community.
They're gonna make it really good too, I think, because it's gonna be paid online, I believe.
It's supposed to be soon.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to that.
It starts in September, I think.
Oh, no more For Glory bull! I can't wait.
Yeah, dude, I really hope they beef up the online. I think that's a huge part of growing the scene because obviously not everyone, especially younger people, can make it to tournaments. So if they have a really strong online presence, you know, some kind of ladder or sanctioned tournaments or something, you know, that would really be huge.
Yeah, we all saw what Net played into the community, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of these young kids going pro now. Guys like Zane, guys like just people who grind on that play and they're godlike now. And I really hope Puff is in Smash 5. It sucks he wasn't in Smash 4, but I hope Puff that'd be nice. I'd like that.
Yeah, dude, I feel like they're gonna deliver a lot of justice to the characters that have been struggling because you know a lot of them struggled through not only Brawl but Smash 4, or rather not only Smash 4 but Brawl before it. Jigglypuff, Zelda, Ganon, you know they're just not good in either of those games. So yeah, I'm hoping for that. Link has never been particularly great in Smash. Smash 4 is his best iteration, I'd say by far, and he's still not considered much better than mid tier at best. Yeah, so Breath of the Wild Link, I think, you know, him being in the trailer like that is a huge sign that they're not just trying to like rehash the same moves you've seen these characters use over and over again. And I'm really hoping that I'm correct in that hunch. But yeah, guys, I mean, this game is looking huge. I wrote an article about it at the beginning of the year. It's on CSL's site if you want to check it out, about how Smash, not even 5, but any current iteration of Smash could be the biggest esport. There's so much potential behind it, and you know I don't want to like rattle off the same reasons for the 100th time, but it's just the lovable characters, and it's easy to digest, and it's colorful and pretty. So there's and you know those recognizable tunes like that ringtone. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much behind Smash that League of Legends can't touch, if not for the huge corporate influx of money. You don't have the same attachments to Draven and Riven as you would to Mario and Link. So that alone, I think, just opens the door to a ton of success for this game if they decide to put a lot behind it. Anyway, I don't want to get off the Smash 5 hype train too early. My last comment on it is that back to the air dodge thing, it would be so sick and really bridge the community if they had the option to pick the air dodge that you want. I think that's like my dream mechanic because you could either pick the modern air dodge, which is the Brawl and Smash 4 one, where you know you get landing lag, but you can move again, like it doesn't put you into free fall, but you also can't wave dash, or the classic air dodge, which would be the melee air dodge. And that's like such a tasteful Nintendo-esque way to put it too. It's like classic or modern. You get to pick.
We have like 2 tier lists then, like a tier list that's like literally like Mario A or Mario B.
Exactly. It's
that
not yet
actually nuts.
Yeah, because like it would be up to the player to decide, not like you play the whole mode, modern or classic. It would be like, okay, like you're playing. It's like Street Fighter 2, and you could pick the old versions of characters, right? So same thing with this. I think that would be sick. Do I think it's gonna happen? Probably not, but it would be great. You pick either wave dashing or air dodging out of combos, and both of them can have a lot of sick things to come. So, you guys have any closing thoughts on Smash 5 before we head into the next topic?
The only way they're gonna change the air dodge is if they copy Rivals. That's my only like hard read. I don't think there's any other way to change it that makes it not like stupid. That's all I have to say.
Joe, HBox, nothing? No, I still need to say there's gonna be good things coming, and I am also curious. The last thing is what controller they're gonna use for the game, because I don't see this whole accidental. Oh, we have the firmware to support the GameCube adapter. It's like, why not? They might put it in.
And not only that, have you played with the Switch Pro yet?
I haven't actually. I actually like using the Joy-Cons and the Square controller.
Yeah, they both feel good. They like having a controller, obviously, you understand that having it feel good is the most important thing, and it feels good in the hands. The buttons feel good. It's great, and I love them. Yep.
Let me present to you the Switch Hori Pad, which I think is secretly the new tech. I copped one of these. It was $30 like 2 months before Smash Switch got announced.
That's good.
So if you look, you can't really tell from the poor lighting, and it's a black controller, but it's basically laid out entirely like the Xbox 360 controller, right? Which is uniquely better than the Wii U Pro controller because the C-stick is in a normal spot and not up on the top.
Yeah.
You got your 4 face buttons. My favorite part about this controller is that the D-pad pops off. It's actually physically detachable. I just dropped the thing, but you can either like pop a D-pad onto it, and it, you know, it looks like the typical plus sign thing, or you pop it off to reveal 4 individual buttons, which are kind of like the C buttons on an N64 controller. So like the flaw with a lot of D-pads is Sonic Fox actually just put a video out about this, how they're all just one pad underneath the controller, and when you're holding, say, left, and you wiggle up or down, you can get up left or down left as a result. But these are 4 analog buttons, which I think is huge, or 4 digital buttons rather. Other huge selling point for this controller, 4 triggers, which in Smash 4, you know, the technique Beto was very common on the Pro controller because you had a spare shoulder button to hold down, and then you use like C-stick as special to do some weird tech. But also, you know, you just get more options, and the triggers are digital. So you don't need to hit up Battle Beaver Customs to make sure you're shielding on frame 1. It's literally just a button. I think, personally, this is the closest thing you can get to a GameCube controller while still not being a GameCube controller. And I'm not sure on the ergonomics. My hands really hurt when I play on a GameCube controller, even like 2 to 5 minutes in now. Like, I need to see a doctor. But this, I don't know, it could be more ergonomic than a very outdated controller. That said, I'm sure GameCube controller supports them.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So that was my little rant about that controller, but I really think that people are going to be playing on it. It's also wired, by the way, so it goes directly to the Switch via USB, and you can use it on a PC. So it's pretty sick overall. But anyway, this past weekend, we finally had some hype events coming back. It's been a little bit quiet since Genesis, as I mentioned, but we had Full Bloom, which is huge for Melee and pretty big for Smash 4. And then we had ESA Vegas, their grand opening in the Luxor, which, I mean, we'll get into the like further implications of that. But 2 really big tournaments for each game with a lot of money on the line at ESA Vegas particularly. So HBox, you were the Full Bloom champion. So for 1, congratulations. And 2, you're the only one of us that was actually there. So why don't you tell us about the event a little bit?
Felt a lot like Smash Valley 7, which felt a lot like Full Bloom 3, and it's a really cool idea for universities to use their big venues, the big student unions to run good events, because you have the outlets there, you have the internet, you have the amount of students' life there to help you organize the event, and you also have local Smash scenes, which is what you really need to bring bodies, bring numbers to a tournament. So it was just really cool to witness and be part of, and they ran it really well. A lot of setups for everyone. Yeah, it's becoming a really good March staple. But we need more events in March. We need more than one national March. And I think no one's really stepping up. So when you want to see the change, maybe you should do it yourself. So maybe hint next March you'll see something cool. So other than that, yeah, just a good classic event, and liked it a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, first place over Mango again. Losing to Mango as well. Do you think any heavy implications for 2018's SSBM rank were made at that bracket, or do you think everything is kind of just still in place?
Everything's kind of still in place. I still think Armada's a big question mark. I think I've proven that I hold on to my #1 rank. Mango did a lot better than at Genesis, which is cool. Leffen still got top 3, so he's still better than Mewtwo King, I would say. And yeah, I think the ranking right now, it's just hard because I don't know where to put like Armada. I don't know where to put just like people relative to one another. Like if I'm being honest in terms of rankings, like it might be me on top, probably Plep second still, and the next 3 is a big clusterfuck. It's really hard to tell what it is. So I hope that'll get answered with just upcoming events, especially Smash Summit.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna briefly talk about that as well.
I think Wizzy might be 7th. That's another thing too. Wizzy might be above Mewtwo King. It's really hard. It's weird right now.
Yeah, Wizzy is absolutely on a tear. I saw Tafo's poll about, his record versus Mewtwo King with the names omitted, and it was like really close between which they thought would be a candidate for higher ranking. It was like 54% for Mewtwo King and 46 for Wizzy. So that's like a really tight margin, and he just needs a couple more big tournaments to maybe usurp one of the gods of Melee, which I think would be absolutely insane to see. But of course, M2K's record against the other gods and the players, in that super upper echelon is really good, whereas Wizzy has most of his dominance above just the players below him, whereas Mewtwo King's a little bit shakier there.
Yeah, it's just that's what makes it more interesting. And yeah, I'm gonna try to like keep this going for as long as I can, because I used to think like I'd never ever in my life be like rank 1, and that changed. And I used to never ever think that I could ever get close to like being cemented as one of the best to ever do it. And then now that Red List came out, and it's like someone put me as 4th, and now I'm saying, you know what? Why not just go all the way? Who's to say that I can't have like the longest reign or legacy? And I'm gonna really challenge myself to do it, because I think that would just be. I love proving myself wrong. It's a really great feeling, and the competition's only getting more fierce. So me and Lewis, he's been helping me out a lot. Just going to put in twice as much work. So I think Melee has a lot of interesting chapters coming up.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know that song? I think it's Wesley's Theory by Kendrick Lamar. Like, getting it's easy. The hard part is keeping it. So,
yeah, I always think about that line, dude.
Yeah, dude, that's such a good line. Hands down, one of my favorite lines in all music.
Love it.
Yep.
All right, and then on the other side of things, we had ESA Vegas, and also there was Smash 4 at Full Bloom. That was won by Ned, so it's good to see him putting up some big wins. He was off the radar for a little bit. I'm sorry?
That's like good stuff, Ned.
Oh yeah. And Sam Sora got 2nd, Locust 3rd. I think the set of the weekend for me at Full Bloom, dude, was Benson Obama versus Anti. Just because, like, I had no idea who this kid was. He has one of the best tags I've ever seen. Benson Obama, like, wow. And he reversed 3-0'd Anti and Mario Dittos with not even his own controller. And the way he did it, like, he like shut him down, especially that game 5. Anti didn't even get to play. So yeah, props to him. But I think the real attraction of the weekend for Smash 4 was ESA Vegas. They had their grand opening inside the Luxor. The production value was off the charts for this event.
No breaks. I love it.
No breaks. And a lot of money, a lot of like fancy stage design and stuff. Like, this was a cool event. But that said, I still think it wasn't perfect. There are a lot of people who have voiced some disagreements with some of the choices that they made. Like, on one hand, the stuff that they had on the screen where it was like at the bottom, it would say like next up is like these players, or like they would have little info blurbs on the bottom of the screen that made it a lot more comprehensive of a viewing experience, especially for people who aren't inductees to the Smash community and like already expecting the flow of things on a Smash stream. That I think they did an amazing job of. But some things were a little choppy, like how they would just transition to a set that like was already ongoing on the stage in the middle of the broadcast. Just, a couple hangups here and there, but it was still like overall a positive viewing experience. And if that was the first tournament that you watched, you would walk away thinking like, wow, the Smash community is like some serious business. This is like a really high value production. So yeah, what do you guys think about the ups and downs of that event, outside of any of the gameplay that took place?
I mean, the Mistake versus Congress, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, where it's just like, let's go into a game, Bayonetta 3-0. Just like, so not that the matchup itself is just the irony of the entire thing. 3-0 Bayonetta, it's just so funny. I mean, other than that, I'd rather have that though than what we had. It was one of the tournaments where literally after every set, it was Big House 6, I believe, where they had like an analyst desk after every single match, and it was just like,
right,
yeah. So yeah, I'd rather have that. More content is better, and it keeps the volatile, completely erratic Twitch chat kind of at bay, because it keeps them distracted. And by that I mean the audience always wants to see more content. So I would say just go for it, tweak up a few things, and if maybe don't jump into a set if it's already past game 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have integrated the side stream or second stream better. Like, I kind of like the idea of being able to swap between one feed to the next. But in terms of how they integrated it, I think it just would have been better if you had just 2 separate streams, and then if you really want to focus on the side stream, like you can switch the feed into your main stage broadcast. Like, that could potentially be cool. But I know some players were salty just because they thought that their matches were being recorded, and then it's like, actually, you know, one stock of your entire set. You have to go back and analyze.
Right,
and
and
I'm
you're
sure
getting roofed by Bayonetta.
you can appreciate the importance in to have that footage to study and analyze. So I think that was a shortcoming, but overall, like, it was a pretty ambitious project. Like, $25,000 prize pool, like, that's nothing to laugh at. That was huge and insane. Like, Mistake told me about that, and I was like, all right, yeah. Like we got to send you out to this like ASAP rock. And yeah, it's sick to see Nairo back on top too. Because I you know, after Genesis, I think he got what, like third or fourth.
Yeah, third.
He was definitely in contention to being one of the best, but I think this really solidifies him as like a serious threat to take Leo's crown. Because I think Leo's probably still seen as number one in the world as of right now, but maybe by the next major, depending on how things fall down.
And Zeke, what do you think beyond gameplay for now, just about the event?
Yeah, the event, from all my students and players that were there that I coached, they loved it. They had a lot of fun. Having personally been to ESA for Nairo Saga, I've talked and personally interacted with a lot of them, especially like Sage and Bam, and they love what they're doing and they're really trying their best, and they're doing a great job of taking input of what to do better. And Sage has always been really good at trying to communicate and like express what's going on, and he only has so much control as just the guy running the stream. There's a lot of gears. There's a lot of gears in a situation like that. And I personally understand as well, having done a lot of streaming over the years for lots of events. It's very stressful. And so I think what's to come is going to be even greater, and I'm really excited. All I want to know is to make sure that they at least recorded those streams that they were bouncing between. As someone who, my job is to analyze those sets, it sucks. It really does. So I do really hope that they at least had it just recording at some point, so before they would jump back to it, you know, what it wasn't on the live feed is at least on someone's computer. That's all I care about.
Right. I mean,
I think it's going to be great.
Even though I wasn't at the event, I just pictured, you know, if I were casting that and all of a sudden like another game is on the feed, that would definitely be jarring for me. So I agree that, you know, a second stream would have been better. Obviously, it's not just as easy as saying, oh, well, we want a second stream. So, of course, we're going to have one. There's a lot of production and time and money that has to go into that. So I can't fault them, especially for a grand opening, for some things being rough around the edges. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the Smash Masters League, though. It looks like, you know, something that we've needed for a long time in Smash is some kind of unifying circuit, high stakes, you know, a lot of big prize pool tournaments on the circuit, but just something, you know, even beyond money, that's nationally unifying and that everyone gets behind and watches. Nintendo, take notes, man. I would love to see you guys do the same thing. But Smash Masters League is filling the void for now.
It ends right before Smash 5 is speculated to come out by the end of the year. So, you know,
very true.
Nintendo can slide right in and do whatever they want.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see that, man. But yeah, I guess going back to the results of the tournament, since we didn't really talk about that much, Joe, you were saying, yeah, it's great to see Nairo back on top. This is his first big win in a while. And he looked really dominant. Like he
looked insane, man. Yeah, he looked really good.
I think MVP was Fatality though.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Well, he did hilarious.
Fatality is crazy.
The past 3 events that Fatality's been at, he has been cementing himself as like being a top player. For especially a lot last year, he would kind of get caught a lot. And these past 3 events, especially when you watch when he plays people like Cosmos or when he even plays like the Buzz and stuff, and especially the other Bayos, he is winning and like playing really well. And even like if you saw like Ally lost his last game to him in 25 seconds. Like that's not a joke. That really happened. And that's scary that he's able to do that.
Yeah. He also kind of got bodied at EGLX though. So I think that speaks to the volatility of his character. Like this is not Bayonetta who just ends the game in 25 seconds and you're like, oh yeah, figured. You know, it's like you could either win or lose in 25 seconds as Captain Falcon. So I think that makes his wins a lot more impressive. This is a very fickle character. You could literally die anytime, anywhere.
And as proof of that, let's not forget that one of us in this chat right now did take a set off Fatality in Smash 4.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Actually,
that's funny. I forgot about that.
2 of us in this chat took a set off Fatality.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was a $100 money match in Falcon Dittos.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, but
he hates the Ditto. I know.
Way better.
Play me in the Ditto either.
That's godlike.
Dude, you beat him with Puff. I think that's more godlike. But anyway, like Yeah,
I'm
that's.
shook,
I
dude.
mean, that's what I'm saying. Like this guy can win nationals or like beat Ally in 25 seconds, but he could also lose to Jigglypuff, right? So or a commentator. That just speaks to how Captain Falcon works. Then I think another like real story of the weekend kind of thing at ESA was Leo's Bayonetta. This is the first time that we've seen it in tournament, at least in any serious capacity. He already shocked everyone when he busted him out or her out against Fallen. He was down 2-0, or I think he was down. Yeah, I think he was down 2-1 maybe. But either way, he was down in the set.
2-0, and you have the reverse 30 with MK Bayo.
Yes, exactly. The Leonetta, dude.
It broke my heart.
Leonetta.
Yeah, I was not ready.
So fun fact, that wasn't the first time he's played it in tournament. The first time he played it in tournament was against Tweak at Shine, and it failed horribly.
Yeah.
Since then, he stopped playing it completely, and just like Tweak, went to the lab, practiced the character for months, knowing that it will come in handy. And just then, he caught Fallen, and Fallen being a player that tends to get reverse 3-0'd, unfortunately, just wasn't ready for it.
You know what I call that?
It was...
I call that the pot for this tournament is 25 grand. That's what you call that. Like you're down to like,
right.
Well, I can't lose. I'm not here to lose. So I'm sorry. I just gotta do what I gotta do.
Yep. Here's the best thing I can do next instead, because what I'm doing isn't working, and there's no shame in that, honestly.
But he had a Meta Knight. Doesn't Meta Knight toss the floor with Rosalina?
So the big thing is that Fallen is actually really good at that matchup because he lives in the same region as AC, and he's all the other Meta Knights before, like, repeatedly, and so Leo is just like not worth it.
Right.
And Fallen, Fallen hasn't been the best versus Bayo either, so it kind of worked out.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the really surprising thing wasn't even just the reverse 3-0, is that he continued to use the Bayonetta through the bracket, including in his set against Tweak, who we've seen consistently as one of the best players against Bayonetta, period. To even have the gall.
Or number 3, at least.
I'm sorry?
Tweak's like, isn't Tweak like top 2 right now?
He is a very strong contender for first. But yeah, I mean, Leo beating him with Bayo, especially because, Tweak has been using Bayonetta himself. We didn't even see the ditto. We saw Leo took the first game. Then, I'm sorry, no, he lost the first game. Tweak went DK. Leo answered it with Bayonetta. And then as soon as he tied the set up, he got off the Bayonetta. You know what I'm saying? So it was pretty crazy, like just the flow of the set in general. And the fact that Leo wasn't scared of making that counterpick choice. I thought that was really interesting. I wonder how his Bayo will be influenced or it will influence the coming metagame. And yeah, man, first is still a big question mark in Smash 4. Like when Zero left, a lot of people just assumed by default it would be Leo, but he has since lost to Zenodo and DeBuzz at Midwest Mayhem, setting him up for 3rd place. And then he lost double eliminated by Nairo at ESA. So I don't know, man. I think like his grip on first is definitely slipping after Genesis.
Leo and Salem both seem to drop, and then all the guys who are between 10 and 5 all shut up.
Yeah, DeBuzz, Nairo, Tweak, I'd say, are like the real strong contenders right now.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then Tweak got 5th this weekend. So like who even knows? And DeBuzz wasn't there to rack up any wins. It's really, I think it's going to come a lot down to math now, just because there's no clear-cut best. It's really going to be within the systems of the PGR who actually gets calculated to have that top rank. And I think subjectivity is going to be almost completely out the window for it.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, this summer is huge.
All this just makes me appreciate just how good Zero was even more. When you see this, you're just like, I don't think there ever will be another guy like him in Smash 5. But he's going to play Smash 5, and maybe he's going to, knowing him, repeat the same incredible story that guys.
All right, guys.
Yep.
So I guess just because we have to move things along a little bit quickly, Smash 5 is so hyped. It ate up like half the show. But one of the big things that we wanted to talk about, and particularly the reason that we invited Zeke this week, is because with the introduction of a new game, and with Smash 4 and its final moments, perhaps, we are experiencing somewhat of like a leadership crisis and a lack of faith in the people that were appointed to make the rules and the shot calls for Smash 4. And that was recently spurned by the announcement that the standard rule set would not be changing whatsoever, including not removing Cloud from doubles. And
I thought
I'm sorry?
I thought he was removed from doubles officially.
Well, I mean, like what started the conversation was the like official rule set committee, basically Bear, Vaseth, and Tantalus had announced, hey, we're like not making any changes, and Twitter erupted. It was like an instant reaction. Like, are you kidding? Are you guys listening? Are you looking at any of the polls where it's like overwhelming majority wants to get rid of them? So that, you know, called into question what was going on, you know, like, why are these people representing us? And like, you know, I've known all of these people for a long time, right? So it was crazy to see like that happen, because I could envision it on a personal level for them, right? But, you know, we did get like a lot of productive discussion done. Joe, you answered by banning Double Cloud again on my level almost instantly. And Zeke, you particularly have said like you wanted to start some kind of initiative to make sure this doesn't happen again in Smash 5, or at least in the remaining time that Smash 4 has left. Kind of bring everyone together, get more consensus on rule set decisions, and not just make these sweeping leadership choices that like a very small handful of people who, by the way, are not active competitors, you know, they're just event organizers, just making sure that this is not the case next time. So why don't you take us a little bit through that? You know, what motivated you to start spearheading this, and, you know, what's the root of everyone's issue with this?
So to give a little backstory on like me and like everything with that. So I am full-time in coaching for Smash 4. That is all I do. That is what my life revolves around now. And the most disheartening thing to see, and I don't just coach top players, I don't coach anything. I've coached over 500 unique players as of last week. Wow. And the worst thing to see happen is, because of the lack of initiative of rule sets, when and whether it's top players or mid-level players, anyone be like, you know what, like the fact that like my locals will just not have the conversation about Lilac, because the fact that Double Cloud is just a thing that makes the game less fun for me, like all these, whatever the little things it may be, and then they quit and they stop. And it's the most disappointing thing to see. And that's something that, you know, we've been waiting to have this conversation. What was originally announced months ago was during the off season, this announcement was supposed to happen. That was like December or whatever, right? And here we are in March now getting that announcement. And, you know, that's a little ridiculous. You know, everyone has responsibilities, everyone has things to do. And of course, those guys that are running that stuff, they've got lots of stuff to do with their own events and stuff and all that. But what really put up the red flags for me especially was when they said that they were going to discuss Double Cloud and all that stuff being banned, whatever they were going to negotiate, even like Lilat, right? They said that was all going to happen during off season. And then instead of doing that, they opened up signups for their tournaments that they run, that their players that they sponsor compete at, that benefit from these things, and didn't have the conversation at all. And many members of the Rule Set Committee have stepped away due to the lack of anything getting accomplished. And I myself went out of my way. I got in contact with the D1, and finally, after months of trying to get a hold of Vaseth, over the past year, I've been trying to get a hold of like Vaseth. The only people who have ever gotten back to me were like Bear and TLTC, and they weren't able to do anything. And I got added to Canada's whatever it is, it's like West Coast Canada, because that's where I live now. And they're part of this. And this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 person Discord where nothing gets discussed, that is not in connection with any of the other Discords or anything. And now it totally makes sense to me why nothing gets done, because nobody's talking to each other, nobody's doing anything, and someone has to. It's really disappointing to see that. All they would have to do is make a big Discord and have everything organized and have a place for everyone to discuss and schedule time and work around each other and try to actually have conversation. And instead, it's just been this whole thing of, well, I'm busy, I can't do it. Well, I'm busy, I can't do it. And so what I've been trying to do now, very slowly but surely, is trying to get in contact with people from major regions and actually do this right. Because no hate to Vaseth and everyone, they've done a great job for making this and starting the whole official rule set. That's something we needed for so long, and it's so great, and I'm very appreciative of that. But you have to keep going with that. You can't just do half the work and then stop. It doesn't just stop there. The game is evolving, the meta changes, things happen, and things are found in these games, especially when you look at stages like Lilat. There's so many things that have to be discussed when you look at Double Cloud. You have to look at the numbers, you have to get the opinions, you have to look at everything and talk to everyone, and that is not happening. From the information I've gotten from people who are involved with the Rule Set Committee, the only people who were really involved in their, whatever you want to call a conversation about banning Cloud, was nobody. The conversation was never had, as far as I know, and that's really unfortunate, basically. So what I'm trying to do now is really, like I said, just get everyone together, whether that's whether it's top players from different regions, head TOs, whether it's commentators, whether it's coaches, analysts, whatever, and have a way for everyone to properly communicate and try to actually have these conversations and not just look at opinions and be like, oh, well, I don't like this stage, so let's get rid of this. Or I don't like this character, let's get rid of this. But also look at the numbers and get people from PG Stats and have everything. You take all the information, you put it together. And once you have all the information, once you have all that, and you have people who are informed about everything, you can then actually solve a problem. But none of that's happening right now, and that's the problem. So we have to all work together to try and do that. And that's what I'm trying to do, to try and head something like that.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so HBox and Joe, I mean, something that I'm sure popped into your mind as soon as you heard what Zeke was saying, being like more in tune with the Melee community. The 25 is essentially what Zeke is getting at, except maybe not just 25 people, and maybe, a wider field, and maybe even not such an exclusive field at all, where it's not, only 25 extremely influential people, but as many influential people as could possibly be included for some kind of maybe like a democratic process kind of deal, but also high-level hands-on discussions. So Zeke and I had spoke about this before. One thing that I think would be a really cool complement to this is to have rule set discussions with a select few people from a group like that on a podcast like this, or something live and interactive with other people, basically making sure that there's not like one very small exclusive group of people calling shots that affect the entire community. Because just as much as we need a circuit that globally unifies Smash, we need that circuit to all operate on the same rule set, and everyone to be on the same page. So what do you guys think? I mean, I'm sure you two, more than almost anyone, have intimately dealt with like the people on and the consequences of something like the 25. So what do you guys think? Is this something that will help?
Like I here, you can respond.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so what I was gonna say is, like, on paper, I think things like the 25 and like the council, like it sounds cool on paper, but in practice, a lot of the time it doesn't work out that way. Like I don't think it's healthy for a game to be controlled by, a group of people. Like when I banned Double Cloud, that wasn't a result of me like talking with a bunch of people. It was about a result of me, seeing like the pulse of the community. Like, what are people saying that they want? What is like the general consensus on where people stand with things? And that's like how change goes about. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think it's like a meeting of the minds that will create, this change. I think it's more so just like being receptive to feedback, being open to change, testing things out, and being inclusive with these kind of discussions. Like, as a Canadian, I'm often on the outside looking in on a lot of these things, and like I don't even know what they talk about in the council or this rule set committee for Smash 4. And I'm hosting the biggest tournament in Canada for both games, so it's like, you know what I mean. I think a lot of the time, things like that, while like I said, they're good on paper, in practice, like it's a very hairy thing to navigate through. So at the end of the day, like I think we just need to be receptive of what the players and spectators to some degree are saying, and just try things out at locals, see what works. I agree that there should be like a uniform rule set across the board, because it just makes practicing for events and running events easier. But the way we come to those conclusions, I think the practices behind that should be a little bit different.
And what would you propose yourself? Like, what do you think is the best way forward?
So for the cloud thing, like it was clearly something that was generating a lot of steam in the past like couple of months. So at the very least, reaching out to the next major thing, like, is this something that you're open to testing? Is this something that you're open to doing? And going from there, like getting some data on it, seeing what the players think about it. I think that's good. Like that was sort of the reason behind why I did it with Kama. I'm like, well, if no one's gonna do it and no one's really gonna make any like progress towards it, like I'll just see what the response is and see how people receive it. And the response was super well received. And then Smash and Splash, after that, they just banned Cloud outright. So it's like sometimes you just got to do it. You know what I mean? Like talk is cheap. Like it's all about doing it, which is why groups like that, like even if the discussion is very active, like actually getting people to go out and do things in relation to those topics, that's usually the hardest part. So I would say the key is like be open and listen to feedback, and be like be, you know, open enough to try it out and see how things work out at your event.
Okay, HBox.
I've always thought that the rule set should always be in the power of the TOs. Like, players can choose whether or not they want to go to a certain event. And in that case, when you have TOs making the rules and then players deciding whether or not they want to support an event, you have kind of a power of checks and balances similar to the U.S. government. And TO is only as powerful as many people come to his event, and the players is only as powerful as what rules they're allowed to, you know, be restricted by. So it's all a matter of preference. However, by TOs working together and coming on a more unified rule set, it makes more players prone and more apt to go to all the events, which is what you really want in the first place. That's why with things like double cloud ban, things like banning coaching, things like maybe banning wobbling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for the longest time, Big House banned wobbling, but other events didn't. But people still went to both because some people just were okay with it. Now the big ongoing event is, you know, the whole UCF. Are we going to have UCF at events or not? A staple or is it not? And now some players refuse to go events like UCF. I prefer UCF now. The one event that didn't have UCF in recent history was, I believe, Genesis. When positive advancements get made, you want to push through it and you want to appeal to the people. The 25, it's a novel idea because it's the first attempt at an organized system in order to you know, make things happen. I wouldn't say those 25 people control the community. Rather, they just control the rules in which we play a game, which is not nearly that you know, dramatic, I don't think. Moving forward, could we organize better? Sure. I think Smash 5 has a really good chance of making that system happen from the get-go. Like, from day one, hello, we are the TOs preparing, like, we're the TOs preparing to run nationals for the next few months. We've come together and said we're going to make this 3 stock, 6 minutes. This stage is illegal, no items. You know, just something like that. You need a starting rule set at some point. And the funny question is, will Smash 5 be 1 stock? Because that's the pattern.
Yeah, I personally believe the most important thing with everything else, with what you guys all said, is just communication. Communicating to the community what is going on behind the scenes. That's the biggest thing that's hurt the Smash community. I've been around, not the longest, but since 2010, I played Brawl, PM, all that stuff, right? And whoever was in charge of anything never communicated anything. It was just announced, and then it was like, oh, all right. Like, that's cool, I guess. And that's like the biggest thing that hurt Smash 4 is like nobody knew if these conversations were happening. Nobody knew what was supposed to happen or anything. It was just he said, she said, blah, 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 and nothing got accomplished. And so that's the real thing that I want to work towards. And I definitely hope that it works out.
Yeah. I'm all for that.
Definitely.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's like no real perfect solution to it, which I think is, you know, one of the harsh realities of it all, right? Like, we can, at the very least, though, try and take community initiatives to do stuff like this because it needs to happen, especially if, say, like Nintendo did create a circuit, right? Like, we need some entity within the community to tell them, like, this is how we want the game to be played at all the events. Because, you know, Nintendo's not going to let the TOs that, like, if they outsource to TOs, they're not going to like let them decide necessarily. You know what I'm saying? They want things to be uniform. Like, you look at League of Legends, LCS does not have different rules, right? Anywhere. Overwatch League, it's all the same. Like, the other thing, of course, about those games is that they're designed to be esports, and there's no community interpretation in terms of how to play the game. So I don't know. It would be great to have like some unifying governing body, even if it's Nintendo themselves, as long as it's kind of like within the spirit of the competitive community and not like items on, or like, you know, Smash 4 had 4 stocks at the Invitational. Like, if it's something that is a common sense solution, then I'm all for it. And at some point, you know, we're going to just have to accept it. Like, if the official rule set includes Lilat, like, I do not like that stage, but guess what? I still go to tournaments. I still compete and like can counterpick to Lilat or just ban it every set. You know, you're going to have to suck it up if you want to play the game at some point. And no one is going to love any rule set. Not everyone will love any rule set. So I don't know, but Zeke, I definitely applaud you for trying and like being motivated enough to get these people together. Like, I'm definitely down. You know, I already told you, like, I'm very supportive of the idea, and like I would put, you know, what time I could behind it. So guys, now that we're, you know, on the tail end of things, we're just gonna wrap it up with a real quick recap of the past season in CSL, or the past segment of the season, which would be regionals. We had 8 events all across the US and Canada, in the Pacific Northwest, Cali, Southwest, Southeast, Ontario, Midwest, Tri-State, or Mid-Atlantic, and New England. So all of those events went really well. We got a lot of people in the door. We had singles with $200 pot bonuses for each game at all of them. We got, I want to say, 90 plus people at every single event with maybe one exception. And really great turnouts for singles, especially. That's, of course, because only invited teams were able to participate. So we're really glad that we were still able to get more college students in the door, and also just, friends and supporters of the teams. So divisionals is going to be coming up now in the spring. We have our first one. This is the first announcement of it officially, aside from to the teams participating, but it's going to be next weekend in New York City. It's going to be the Eastern Divisional. So guys, if you play Smash and you're in college and you're near New York City, come through. There's $200 extra on the line, plus whatever we get from the pot. So, come take a crack at that. And there's going to be some really talented players. DeBuzz is going to be in the building for Smash Wars. Zane will be there for Melee. Their respective teams are the favorites to take it. That would be Stony Brook and VTech. But anything can happen, man. Like we saw VTech almost lose to NYU. They had an Ice Climbers player chain grab Zane 3 times, and he almost lost the 4-stock to 4-stock head-to-head. So, there's no reason to be discouraged just because there's a godlike player on one of these teams. And yeah, divisionals is looking really hype. All right, yeah, guys. So divisionals is going to be sick. Make sure to check it out. If you're in college and you play Smash, definitely come through. And we've got Western divisionals at the CSL finals at the end of April as well. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys there. You guys have any closing thoughts just before we sign off?
Buy Smash 5. Go to the last few Smash 4 tournaments that exist. And don't stop attending. Be a part. Yeah. Don't be a lurker. Be a part. Either compete or stream. Just spread the love, as always.
Hell yeah.
Hashtag not a port. And not again on hashtag not a port.
I will, if it is a port, I will film myself in my boxers eating an entire bowl of Jell-O in the street with cars.
Right. I will remember that one. Yeah. Last thing I have to say. Last thing I have to say is I believe that these next 5 to 6 months before the next game comes out are the most important. Don't stop playing. Don't stop attending. Don't lose motivation. Now is the time to care for what's to come. So start working really hard now so you're ready to work even harder then.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Grind, become a community leader and figure, be the change you want to see in the world. Like if you don't like the rule set, you don't like the people making the rule set, do something about it. Like get out there, become a name and a face where people want to value your opinion and take you seriously. Then, you could craft the next rule set. Who knows?
Wakanda forever. Remember.
Yeah. Hashtag not a port. Hashtag Wakanda forever. All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in to Smash Course. We'll be back in a week, and I'm sure there will be no shortage of exciting stuff now that the Smash season is kind of back into high gear. So thanks again, guys, and take care.
All right. Peace.
Peace, boys.